Welcome to I Do, the ultimate wedding show. I'm your host, Michelle Margaux, and today we're coming to you from the beautiful Milagro Winery in Ramona, one of Southern California's most gorgeous and unique wedding venues. In today's show, we'll see some incredible custom gowns. We'll get some ideas for choosing wines for your celebration, and we'll show you what may be the hippest getaway car. We'll share some tips from our relationship expert and some advice from an A-list wedding planner. But first, one of the most exciting and memorable moments of your wedding day is your first dance as a married couple. Whether you want to blow your guests away with your incredible moves or just want to avoid the awkward hug and sway, this may be the perfect time to call in a pro and get yourself some dance lessons.
The idea of not really having anything planned for our first dance really scared me.
Before I started these lessons, I have never taken any dance classes at all.
We wanted a really unique wedding, and so we wanted a first dance to showcase that. And we love dancing together.
We had practiced it so much that we knew it like the back of our hands.
I've been teaching for about 15 years. I was a classically trained musician, and I loved dancing because music and dance just go hand in hand. So I danced in a lot of different places growing up and got used to hearing a lot of different rhythms.
Well, you know, when you're planning a wedding, it could get at times a little stressful, and coming here to dance was like our stress relief, you know. And it was good to, also work on our wedding bodies too at the same time.
What I do is I have an intake process. The clients come in, we spend about an hour together the first time. So I basically walk through what are the goals they're looking for in their dance. Do they want to be showy? Do they want to be low key? Are you trying to engage your guests, or do you want it to just be about this intimate moment between the two of you?
Katie wanted to do a choreographed dance for us for the wedding.
Yeah, I happened upon Cori-ography on Instagram through a mutual friend. And so I reached out to her just to get a sense of everything, and we were blown away by all of her examples. So the lessons were about 45 minutes long, which is the perfect amount to keep our attention. And they started off being just teaching us different steps that we could start to put together. It wasn't until the very end of our 12 lessons that it started to become a real routine, which was exactly what we wanted.
We were not familiar with doing the box step that we learned, so the first couple of lessons was just getting acquainted first with our posture, because in hip hop, which was what we were used to, it's very slouched over, down.
But once we got on the floor and just felt everyone's presence and all the cheering, that kind of just loosened me up and just got me going too.
You're feeding off energy from the room. Your guests are all there for you. They all love you and know you, and they're very excited. And that all kind of feeds in to what you're feeling when you're dancing. And for some couples, the goal was to get their guests really engaged and cheering.
We knew we wanted to put on a show for our guests that were coming out to support, and they showed the love.
Yeah, we definitely fed off their reaction for sure.
If we could do it in 10 lessons, anyone can do this. We stepped outside of our comfort zone. It was kind of outside of the box. After 10 lessons of learning how to do it and then crushing the dance and looking back at it, saying, wow, we did that, it was very rewarding.
In addition to complimenting the dance itself, people were just telling us how blown away about how extra we were being, and they loved it.
It was an incredible experience, and I'm glad that we were able to share this.
I would tell couples who are thinking about doing a special first dance that it will be the most fun part of their wedding planning, and whether they want to go low-key or really amped up and showy, it is the one thing that's really going to feature both of them at their wedding.
They all killed it on the dance floor. Clearly the lessons were worth the effort. One choice most brides look forward to is picking the perfect wedding gown. But if that ideal dress just can't be found, you can have a custom gown created especially for you to bring your dream dress to life. the custom design process is very one-on-one. So you'll come in and we'll sit down and go over all of your ideas. What I'm passionate about is bringing your dreams to life. So it's not me just sitting here coming up with ideas out of my head. I'm gonna ask you questions about what you've been dreaming of. You can show me photos of what you like, what you don't like, and then right there I'll sketch something up. We'll look at fabrics, we'll look at laces, have a series of dress fittings, and then you walk down the aisle in your perfect gown that no one else will ever have because we've created it just for you. So I started this business actually in my basement. I was a young mom and I had 2 toddlers and I needed a way to be able to stay home with them and I couldn't afford daycare. I loved to sew. So I started sewing for people, anything and everything to make money, always specializing in the bridal and formal wear because that was my passion. So I did alterations for brides and their bridesmaids, and I told everybody that I could talk to that I loved making custom gowns. 3 years fast forward, I had outgrown my basement and I signed a lease on a 900 square foot little tiny studio. Started really advertising the fact that I did custom gowns, and at the time there was no one else in the area that did any design work at all. So demand just continued to grow and grow and grow. Within 3 years I had outgrown that facility, and now here 10 years later we have a beautiful studio with a full team of seamstresses, and we just absolutely love what we do. It usually takes about 6 months to a year for a custom gown. We can accommodate earlier dates if we need to, but just because of our production schedule, it's best if we can stay within those time frames. The most creative dress that I've designed, I think I'm actually working on it right now. So it's this beautiful ball gown. It has this hand embroidered bodice from some fabric that we found in India. And then it's got a waist to floor and train length ruffles just all the way down. The train extends about 8 feet behind her, and it's just layers and layers of lace and tulle. We even took some of the lace from her mother's or her grandmother's wedding gown and incorporated some of that into the dress too, so it's a little bit sentimental. Very creative with all of the layers and trying to figure out how all of those were going to flow to make a seamless, beautiful gown. We do custom gowns for all occasions. Wedding gowns is our specialization, but we do formal gowns and custom gowns, mothers, dresses, anything really that you need.
Sometimes the best way to get exactly what you want is to start from scratch and create your own unique masterpiece. When we return, we'll get some advice on how to choose wines for your big day. Stay right there. Hello and welcome back to I Do, the Ultimate Wedding Show. I'm Michelle Margaux, joined by the General Manager of Milagro Winery, Melissa Herring. Thank you so much for joining us.
Of course.
All right, so tell us about this property.
Absolutely. So Milagro Winery is 110 acres and we produce 100% estate grown wine as well as our own olive oil. It's owned by Kit Karen Sickles as well as David Gus and Leon Cassell, and they've just put everything, heart and love into it, right? Really try to do things harmoniously to get the lay of the land and make the best products that they can. And at the same time, we host weddings and events, and we actually do about 50 plus a year out here.
That's a lot. So why is this the perfect place for a wedding?
I feel like it's the perfect place because it's a hidden gem. It's a mini destination without having to go far at all or spend a lot of money to do so. We pride ourselves on keeping things affordable for our couples so they don't have to spend an arm and a leg on the most beautiful day of their lives. And out here it really is the most beautiful day. We have a beautiful oak tree to get married under, and then up at the reception area, a wine cave and a crush house that give you this Tuscan feel while you're sitting here in Ramona. And then you're underneath the twinkly lights dining and dancing with all of your guests with wine, which is our fantastic wine that we have here, award-winning. And I actually have our wine club tasting room manager, Hayden Stewart, here, who's a sommelier that can talk about all of it.
Thanks for joining us, Hayden.
Hello, how's it going?
Hello. Great. So as a layman, how would you go about pairing wines for your wedding?
That does have the potential of being rather complicated, but I'm going to simplify it with a couple of straightforward rules to keep you in track on having a little bit more elevated of a food and wine experience. So key is the richness of a dish needs to match the richness and weight of a wine. So if you got brisket or casserole, you're going to want a full-bodied red or white to go with it. The other idea is to keep the intensity, flavors and aromas of your dish equal to a wine. So if you have something rather smoky like barbecue, you're going to need a more intense and aromatic wine to be able to balance that out.
When you mention full body, what specific type of wine are you talking about?
I'm talking about things like California, Cabernet Sauvignon, Argentinian Malbec, or Bordeaux. Something that if you're looking on the back of a label should be 13.5, 14.5 plus alcohol.
All right, Hayden, Melissa, thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Of course.
All right, well, when we come back, we'll inspire you to make your first ride as a newly married couple unforgettable. Stay right there. Welcome back to I Do, the ultimate wedding show. As they come to the end of their wedding festivities, many couples choose a getaway car that's something special, maybe a limo or a classic car. But if you're looking for a fun and eco-friendly way to make your exit, you should consider a stylish mini moke.
It's great being in the wedding business. I love being part of the special day for the bride and groom. Being able to create a unique and memorable experience is something that we just love to be a part of. The bride and groom looks back on their photos and the moke just makes people smile. As you can see, the moke is eye-catching, chic and stylish, and makes for the perfect accessory to a wedding.
So if the moke looks familiar, it's based upon a military vehicle that was produced in the UK at the end of World War II and didn't really take off as a military vehicle, but was quickly repurposed as an estate cruiser, a beach cruiser, a town get-around vehicle. We've had people at weddings feature their whole family in the moke, or the wedding party, shuttle the wedding party to and fro.
It's super fun and functional. For photographers, it's great. They can load in all their equipment and take the bride and groom to various spots around the venue and take some great photos that they may have not been able to capture otherwise. Since they've become electric, they are eco-friendly, zero emissions, and obviously very quiet, so great for weddings.
It's been really fun to have them parked at weddings and events because everyone's jumping in and, you know, doing all their crazy dance moves while in the moke.
So traditionally in some weddings they have a getaway car, which may be a Rolls Royce, a limousine, something like that. The mini moke makes for a great getaway car. Jackie O back in the day actually used the mini moke for her getaway car.
The moke was totally cool. It was awesome driving down there and back. I love the moke.
The moat was pretty fun. We got to drive it down to the beach and take some photos on the cliffs. You know, I wasn't sure if it was street legal, but we got to drive it around the streets and everyone's honking and having a good time. Yeah, the moke was super cool and I would definitely recommend it to other people. I had a lot of fun with it.
It was a nice extra special little touch just to make it perfect.
It's just got this super great look. A lot of people go, I think I've seen that before. And I rented one in St. Bart, or I learned to drive one when I lived in Australia when I was a kid. It's amazing because we've driven a lot of crazy cars being San Diegans, but nothing gets more smiles or more thumbs up or more shout outs than the moke. People just love it. It makes people smile. It's so fun. If you want to have a lot of fun, if you want to spark joy in yourself and people who see you driving the moke down, it's really, really fun.
The best thing I like about the moke is that it makes people smile. Whether you know the history of it, it's being a classic car, or you just look at it and fall in love with it, it just makes people smile.
That looks like the ideal way to drive off as newlyweds. When you're getting ready to tie the knot, there are a lot of things as a couple you need to figure out. Some of them are fun and simple, and some are a little more complicated. Our I Do resident relationship expert Dana McNeil has some tips for how to talk about money.
Hi am Dana McNeil, and I'm the I Do Resident Relationship Expert. I'm here to help you be the best couple that you can be, to give you tips and tricks on how to be a master of relationship versus a disaster of relationship. First of all, you need to be talking about it, because so many of my couples are not talking about money because they're scared, right? Maybe I have debt from before we came into the relationship and I don't know how to talk to you about it. And I worry that my debt is my debt and it's not going to be our debt. And yet I know that you have an expectation that I'm going to contribute to our household, and I don't know how to tell you that I'm not sure I can because I have debt. And I like to take responsibility for my own things, so I consider it my debt and none of your business, right? It is your business because now we're getting married and we have some important things to figure out, like who of us is going to be the person that's responsible for taking care of the finances? Who's going to be paying the bills? Who's going to be the one that's logging on and checking into our retirement account or filing our taxes for us? Who's going to be gathering the receipts? Who's going to be the go-to person? Because it generally doesn't work for us to both be doing it and have no idea what's going on. That's how we get overdrawn, right? So we also need to talk about, how do we feel about putting things on credit? Because some of us have fears about getting into credit card debt. Maybe I did that when I was in college and I don't want to have that happen to me again, right? How much is enough? So if we start having children, if that's something we decide to do, how much money do we need to have a child? How much does it cost to have a child? Is one of us going to stop working or work less? How do I feel about that? What's important to me financially? Do we want to spend most of our money planning for retirement or building up our savings for the fact that one of us might lose a job? Or do we just want to have a glamorous vacation every year? What are our priorities about finances? And are we going to have more than one account? So a lot of my couples these days, they will have 3 accounts. They'll have individual accounts and then they'll have a joint account. And so typically I have my individual account so I can have my allowance and I can buy whatever fabulous shoes I want without you telling me that that was too expensive. And I'm still contributing to the joint account, right? So that's how we're paying for groceries and going out to dinner and buying gas for the car. But there's still something to be said about having some of your own independence and having some money that belongs to you that you don't have to account for with other people. That doesn't work for every couple, but we need to figure out what works for us. There's a lot of questions that we need to start talking with each other about. And a great idea is to sit down one Sunday over a fabulous brunch and show each other how much debt you have. Right? Before I make this commitment to you, I need to make a commitment to your debt as well. And I need you to be honest with me, and it's going to be vulnerable, but we're getting married. So we need to start having these conversations. There's no right or wrong answer, there's your answer as a couple. It doesn't matter what your parents did, it doesn't matter what your grandparents did, it's what makes sense for you as a couple. And the sooner you start talking about it, the sooner you can have what could possibly be an uncomfortable conversation under your belt, so you can start having them be more familiar and start having them be a regular part of what you're talking about in your relationship.
Great advice. If you'd like to ask Dana a question, follow us on Instagram and post your question there. And who knows, Dana may be talking directly to you on a future show. When we return, we'll have some helpful tips from a pro about planning for your big day. Don't go away. Welcome back to I Do, the Ultimate Wedding Show. Planning your wedding is exciting, but it's also a lot of work. If it's in your budget, it is a huge advantage to have a professional by your side as you plan your big day. We sat down with wedding planner Courtney Tibbetts for some tips on things you can do yourself if you're trying to keep your budget in check.
Hi, I'm Courtney Tibbetts, wedding planner and facilitator of fun here at I Do. I'm here to help you get the most out of your wedding planning experience and save some stress along the way. If your budget doesn't allow for a full wedding planner, you might be wondering what are some of the things that you could easily do on your own to prepare for the wedding. And I would always say hire a wedding coordinator to execute everything on the wedding day so that you or your mom or your girlfriends aren't there setting things up. But prior to the wedding, some of the things that you can do on your own are hiring your vendors. So it's important to vet people. There is no governing body for wedding planners, so there's no licensing body, there's none of these things. So it is important that you look at reviews and not only look at reviews, but drill into them is, do they have only 6 reviews, and do all of those people only have 1 review and it's for that business? That's a red flag. Look at Wedding Wire, look at The Knot, look at Yelp, look at all of these places and see, do they have multiple reviews? I've been in business for over 10 years. I have over 100 and something 5-star reviews in many of these places, and that shows that somebody has the experience to be able to help you with your wedding. This would be the same for a DJ, a photographer, a videographer, a band. Look at their reviews and make sure that they've been in business for a while. Hiring the people who are the most experienced for your budget is going to be the best thing that you can do for your wedding. And that's something that you can do on your own if you have the time to research those vendors. Look through their galleries, look through their website, look on their social media, look everywhere and vet these people before you hire them and sign a contract with them. So vetting and hiring vendors is something that you can do on your own. Something else that you can do on your own is preparing a wedding planning checklist. It seems like it's a big undertaking, but if you can make things into digestible chunks, it's going to make the next year of your life very easy. I would suggest that you pull these checklists from various websites, mix them together and bring them down into one so that you can say, the next year of your life, here's what I'm going to do in November, here's what I'm going to do in December, here's what I'm going to do in January. And that's how you can keep yourself accountable for the wedding planning process. Look at qualified reviews, make sure they have many of them, and do your research, and you will be happy with your wedding vendors come wedding day.
Sounds like it's all about doing your homework. Well, that's all we have for you on this edition of I Do. A big thanks to Milagro Winery for hosting us here today. To keep up with me and everything happening here at I Do, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel to see this and all of our shows, plus some special bonus content. Thanks for watching. I'm Michelle Margaux, and I'll see you next time on I Do.